Culture is an important pillar for nation building. It brings people together. Culture is also power.
So how you spend your money throughout your lifetime determines what you have at the end of your life.
Yeah.
So Malaysia was changing, and in that phase of the change, the artists and the art movement was responding. So from your 60s, 70s, 80s modernist movement, you were going very strongly into a contemporary movement in the 90s and the noughties. It is definitely an asset class. If I have to buy a work today that I rejected 10 years ago at 10 times more the price, that's 1,000% in 10 years.
I think Malaysian artists are really world class.
You really stand out. Works like this would sit in any museum in a foreign European museum. I would place Malaysia, the Malaysian art contemporary movement, as the strongest in Southeast Asia. When I look at our young artists, they could have sat comfortably in those environments. So you've actually got a very good art movement, very well priced, you know. I think the future of the industry is very positive.
The art changes the space. During MCO also, it was really comfortable to be at home because we are so blessed and so lucky to have this collection, to draw on it, to change our space, to change our environment, to talk about things, you know. Every day there's something new to think about, to observe. So it's always nice to put the old work with the new acquisition, and then you see how they all fit together.
Established artists with younger artists. We have a growing appreciation for the arts. I do find this newer generation, younger generation of those in the 30s and 40s beginning to respond to the arts really well. People are beginning to live with it. People are creating a demand for it because they're absorbing it into their homes. A lot of people are looking at it with investment potential. So from many fronts, the ecosystem is being developed. The artworks are, I think, of extremely high standard. And I think it's just going to get more and more interesting as the years go by.
See that artists also, they are recorders of contemporary history and contemporary events. He's an observer and he's a recorder. And you know, important events are happening and he's creating work to record that or to give a commentary on what's happening. How do you stop yourself? You know, we just didn't know where to stop.
The landscape of the urban environment was changing. The Malays were shifting from farmers into urban centers. Everything was changing. Yeah. But the critical thinkers, the writers, in the English-speaking world, were not accepting that change, and they were resisting that change by not writing about it. So that information was not going out. So within what you were looking at the art, where there was this whole development of this very positive Malay cultural development of very important artists who would feature internationally. But locally, you would not get information on it. Yeah. So from a collecting perspective, that also became interesting. The work had to be worthy of consideration to be in the AFK collection. So it was a standard that we set upon ourselves.
I always react kind of emotionally to the work. Whether it's a painting or an installation or a sculpture, it's visually you should have a reaction.
I would follow the concept, the banking concept, or due diligence.
Yeah.
So while Aliya would look at it from the emotional point of it,
yeah.
I would then make it a point to study by way again of conversation with various people within the industry to understand more about the artist, to understand more about his potential as an artist, to understand everything about him, to ensure that we were then collecting an artist that was important and relevant within the movement. So it became almost like a museum style, that if we focus on a particular artist, that we would collect him, and throughout the tenure of whatever he had been, that made more sense to us. The problem with collecting art is impulse buying. That A, you had to collect all the genres. B, you had to collect the leaders of the genre. Then everything else, sort of falls in place from there.
Our whole life is just focused on that. This is our mission in life.
We feel blessed that we found this thing at this age of our life. that immersing ourselves in culture, immersing ourselves into an industry of creative people. There's the whole concept of value in the arts. Aliya's appreciation of aesthetic, my appreciation of commerce, our fascination for politics, everything about our life is encompassed within the arts. That I'm grateful we came here during the contemporary period. So there's that element of luck of where you are at that time of your life. This is the place. This is where it's happening right now.